Hi, Manolo.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Let me see. I don't know if Matt wants to be a co-host too. Hold on.
Good morning, guys.
Morning,
morning.
Okay. Here we go.
Practice.
Just in case. All right. Okay, so we're joined, guys, everyone that's on so far. We can't see who 12407 is, but this is, we'd like you to meet Alton James. He has helped us a lot when we were home hunting. Alton, Matthew, Salim, who's presenting today, Manolo. We see Jasmine, Tanisha, Heather.
Hey.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so just for this session, we're just going to go through the quote unquote just rules a little bit. We are going to put everybody on mute while Salim is presenting. We're going to introduce ourselves, who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it. And then we're going to hand things over to Sean, who will introduce Salim. And Salim would pretty much be running things with us. And so let's get started. I'm Tanya, and this is my partner, Sean.
Good morning, good morning.
And we're from Robinson Lloyd, or Lloyd, better known as Lloyd and Lloyd. And we focus on data-driven mental health and enrichment programs, one school district at a time. We've been very blessed with the opportunity to bring to our community financial resources, mental health resources, and financial literacy, which Salim would be presenting. At this time, it's my honor to pass things over to Sean for him to introduce Salim. And please, we'd like you as an icebreaker to put into the chat room what your business is, who you are, and what your business is, so that Salim could see and we could all get a feel of who's in the room. Thank you, Sean.
Good morning. As was said, we're being joined this morning by Salim Omar, certified public accountant in New Jersey. He wrote 2 books. One is Straight Talk about small business in New Jersey, as well as the $1 Million CPA firm. At one point, not unlike some of us who've gone to college, he was $100,000 in debt, right? He was working 60 to 80 hours a week. And he began to invest in himself, not unlike what we're all doing here this morning, trying to get some of this great knowledge. He came up with a 3-step growth program. The first step would be to build a championship team, attract quality clients, and streamline business operations. And over the last 25 years of building that knowledge, wisdom, and experience, he's going to help us today with a condensed form of that, right? So because we only have an hour. Right, so again, everyone say good morning to Salim. And thank you, Tony, as well. Let's start a little bit real quick. In the chat, what you can do is you can type in your website or some way to contact you so we can have like a bit of networking going on. And Salim, go ahead, please.
All right, guys, welcome. And awesome. Thanks, man, for inviting me. Appreciate it. This is going to be, the topic is straight talk about business success during a recession. And I want to start off by, acknowledging you for being here. A lot of people are sitting around, they're waiting, or they just aren't old enough to start moving past the pandemic. And you chose to be on this webinar on a Saturday morning. And that tells me a lot about you, that this is important to you. You're ready to move forward. You're ready to take action. And I give you a lot of credit for thinking like that and wanting to move forward. There are 2 types of people that I see, that I come across, and it's along the lines of the 20-80 rule, the principle, the 80-20 principle. 20%, if you look at everything in life or in business, 20% of the things, the results you get, or 80% of the results you get are because of 20% of the effort or 20% of the customers, and looking at your personal life, food, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, 20% of everything gets 80% of the wear. And same in here when it comes to entrepreneurs or people, business owners, 5% are ready to move forward. They're playing offense. They want to make their clients, patients, customers win. They want to grow their business. They're protecting, pivoting, and adapting. They are what I refer to as the fighters and the leaders. And then you've got the 95%, unfortunately, the vast majority that are like the deer in the headlights, right? They're playing defense. They're continuing to operate their business the way they have. They're continuing to move on in their life the way they have. And a lot has changed in this past few months. And they're retreating, they're saving, they're shrinking. And I think of them as the people that are waiting to be rescued. They're waiting to be served. And I want to have this conversation, and the people that are here, I know you guys are in the 5% because this is really going to be relevant to you. Those of you that are in this 5% or in this 10%, the minority here, that are ready to play offense, that are ready to move forward. I mean, that's probably the reason you're here on this webinar on a Saturday morning. So I'd like to bring the conversation back to you for a moment. What are you most excited to get out of this session? So take a few seconds, type in the chat, like the one thing you'd love to get from our time together. What is that one thing, or the one challenge you have, or the one question you have, the one thing you're curious about? What is that? And I'd love for everyone to really take a few seconds and type your answer in. No right or wrong answer. It's your answer. So do that, please. Even if you've heard me speak, even if you've been following me for a while, what is that one thing you'd like to get from this session? What are you curious about? A few more seconds, folks, everyone. Let's play this game together. Don't be on the sideline. You'll just, I think, the education, the experience is enhanced when we are in it, we're part of it. So everyone, I want you to kind of take a few seconds. And what is this one thing you'd love to get from this session? All right, you guys are awesome. Look at that. Everyone's most of you guys have, shared. And if you're still typing, please do. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to share this so that we can learn together, right? Manola's saying how to get from idea to execution. 100%, we're going to cover that. Matt saying, I'm always learning from Salim. So just excited to be part of this, keeping an open mind and intend to take action on one good idea. All right, so that's my challenge, Matt, for you, is to give you this one good idea, and I bet you I will. I'm optimistic that I will, but you be the judge. Tanya saying agreed. Lloyd saying Lloyd. Direction, what to focus or to prioritize. Beautiful. Elton saying motivation. Tanisha saying how to stay motivated. Good, we'll cover that. Cassandra saying getting an LLC started. Cool. I'd love to help you on that as well. Tanisha saying just become more knowledgeable in general. Cool. Tanya, many people wanted to know what pitfalls to avoid. Yep, we'll cover that. Dee saying how to incorporate social networks. Awesome, great, good guys, good stuff here. I think we'll have a very valuable 45 minutes together. I've got a lot to cover. Three big things that I want to start. I'll be talking about very quickly. My story. Sean covered a little bit of it. I was working as a chief financial officer. That's what CFO there is in Manhattan many years back. Everything was going well from financial success. I had a 6-figure salary, corner office, my office was a corner office overlooking Central Park. So it was one of the most prestigious on Fifth Ave, 57th Street, one of the most prestigious places you could be in. But I hated my job. I was working long and hard in corporate politics. And, I said, man, I can do this on my own. So I started my practice in 96. I was born and raised in Kenya, Africa. And my dad was always in business, with a retail store, one of the larger stores in Kenya. And so I'd seen business, I'd grown up with business. I said, how hard can it be? And I was wrong because it was hard. It was super hard. I went $100,000 in credit card debt in those first 6 years, burned through all my savings that I'd earned, that I'd saved up as a CFO, had employee problems in my small little practice. Clients, had a revolving door with clients, cash flow was always tight. And I was working long hours. So I went from a lifestyle when I was in corporate America that was bad, and it got worse, starting my own practice. And I had an important epiphany, a realization that I was working hard, but I wasn't working smart. And my turning point, and I believe everyone has a turning point, we just have to be open to it, because when we have the opportunity, we are on a crossroad, we want to take the right path on that fork. My turning point came when I came across Michael Gerber. That's the person you see here. In 1999, I came across his book called The E-Myth Revisited, The Entrepreneurial Myth. I was so fascinated with this book. And the book is he writes a story about Sarah. Sarah owns a bakery, and she's up at 5. She's the last one to leave her bakery. She's always running behind on paying bills and no family life. And I'm like, man, Michael really understands me. I just happen to own an accounting practice, but he understands me. And I got so fascinated how much I saw myself in that story that I hired him as my coach, and he was my first coach. And with his help, in the next 3 years, I transformed my practice. And I own an accounting practice. It's called Straight Talk. So today I own a successful, thriving 8-person CPA practice that allows me to live the lifestyle that I want, right? None of this is to brag or to impress you, but to impress upon you of what's possible and to give you some ideas along, in your own journey. And so just been working with businesses and so forth, entrepreneurs, and it's been an amazing journey there. So one of the things that I want to share with you that was really helpful for me is what I call the rule of 72. Now, the rule of 72 is the rule of 72 hours is that you want to take action when you have an idea within 72 hours. Take action, execution within 72 hours. Most times it can be within 5 minutes or an hour, and so forth, right? Doesn't have to wait for 72 hours, but within 72 hours, take action. And the reason is that because ideas are ideas, they come and they go. And if they go, then you might as well there was no benefit, there was no value from having that idea. Ideas only become valuable when they turn into execution. And to get into execution, it needs to be done fast. Money loves speed. Wealth loves speed. If you slow it down, money is not attracted to things that are slow. Money is attracted to things that are fast. And so you want to get into this habit of fast execution within 72 hours. Otherwise, ideas come, they disappear, right? Make sense, everyone? The other thing that I want to share with you when it comes to execution is that you're going to learn a lot. People will analyze an idea and they'll analyze it. And then it's like they break it down so much, they paralyze the idea that it doesn't have legs anymore. So the sooner you start executing it, you're going to start learning from it, right? There's nothing better than trying something and learning from that experience, because it'll just make you, bigger and stronger and better, and then you can kind of tweak that idea. But just to talk about it or to not do anything about it, you're kind of back at square zero. All right, so I want to start off by talking about goals, because I think really having goals is important. And starting off with long-term goals, 8 to 10 years, midterm goals 3 to 5 years, and then short-term goals are 1 year, and then 120 days or 90 days, right? Those are the short-term goals. And the long-term goals is what's called what's referred to as big, hairy, audacious goal. This was a phrase that was coined by Jim Collins. He wrote the book Good to Great and Built to Last First, and he brought this concept then when he wrote that book back in the 90s. Big, hairy, audacious goal. Now you see the picture there, right? It's a gorilla. It's a giant. It's huge. It's like 10 foot tall. It's big. It's hairy, meaning scary. It's such a big goal, such a huge goal that it's like, man, scary. How am I going to get to like that much? And it's audacious. Your friends are going to be saying like, what's going wrong with you? What are you thinking about? Why are you thinking so big? Right? So it takes being bold and being courageous. So that's what big, hairy, audacious goals are. 8 to 10 year goals that are big goals. Now, here's something that you should know. Most people underestimate what they can do in 10 years, but they overestimate what they can do in 1 year. Most people underestimate what they can do in a long period of time, but they overestimate what they can do in 1 year. And the reason they overestimate what they can do in 1 year is because of their past experience. They've tried something, and because of poor execution, poor strategy, they did not do well. And so they're like, so then they are basing their long-term goals based on the short-term experience that they had. So be realistic when it comes to short-term goals. Make your goals smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely, having a timeline. So have short goals that are smart goals. And then when you are on this path of execution and planning your goals every quarter, your long-term goals, your big, hairy, audacious goals will come true. Time and time again, when I've sat with a business owner and I've talked to them about the big, hairy, audacious goal, they'll start off with a number that is smaller than I know they can do. They'll tell me they may be doing 200,000 in revenues, and they'll say their big, hairy, audacious goal for 10 years is 500,000. And then when I have this conversation with them, they'll see that their big, hairy, audacious goal can be $5 million, not $500,000 when there's a plan in place. So when you've got your so first, why do you need a big, hairy, audacious goal? Yogi Berra says it best. If you don't know where you're going, you might wind up someplace else. And that's so true. We gotta know where our destination is. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? What is your business? If you want to go across the country, you got to know where. LA, San Diego, San Francisco, where are you going? If you're going from New Jersey, right? Where do you want to go? You got to know where that destination is. And that's kind of what it's like for being in business. It's like, where do you want to be 10 years from now? And we're starting thinking along those lines. So examples of big, hairy, audacious goal, it can be a revenue goal, 5 million in revenues, or it can be a team member goal, 10 of the best, brightest, most creative team members on the planet that are working in your team. Or it could be about your clients. And so once you have your big, hairy, audacious goal, we're going to reverse engineer. 10 years from now, that's our big, hairy, audacious goal. Strategic objective is your 3-year goal. So we kind of come closer to us, and then our 1-year goal, and then the quarterly goals, right? So what we do this quarter, what we do this month it's very much aligned to where you want to take your business to in the long term. All right, does this make sense? Any questions? Anything? What's resonated with you so far? What was the one thing that you took from what I just shared with you? The one idea you've got so far before I move to the next one. 72-hour rule, says Sean. Awesome, cool, interesting, says Tanya. Siobhan says, taking action requires execution or just taking note of the idea. Awesome. Making short-term realistic. Well said there, D. Smart goals, right? Specific, measurable, relevant, attainable, and then with a timeline. So every time I write goals, my team write goals, we're like, all right, let's follow the SMART rule. And it tightens up the goal. So let's, Tanya says, starting with a big, hairy, audacious goal first and drilling down. Awesome. Lloyd says it's important to set goals, write them down, visionary, noting them. This is the first step to execution. Awesome. Salim, what was meant to be a question to you? That was meant to be a question to you. Shivan, what was that question to me again? If you can type that in, and I'll do this the next round. All right, let's move on to systems. So a number of years back, I came across Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He created the 4 cash flow quadrants. And I thought this would be really relevant to us here in our conversation. There are 4 quadrants in when you look at the types of people, or 4 types of people that you'll encounter, right, in this world. 4 types of people, each one is a different mindset. So you've got the one on the top left, employee, right? The employee mindset is you want to be employed. You want to have what from that employment? You want to have security. You want to have that paycheck coming in, right? And that's what you're doing, is you're trading time, hours for money. The more you work, the more you get paid, right? Kind of, pretty much. So the employee mindset is, you're looking for security. You want a job that's well paying, it's got its benefits, and you're a happy camper. And then there's a point in time when you say, you know what, I want more. I'm tired of the corporate politics like I was, or I'm tired of the long commute 4 hours every day. And I think I can do this on my own, and I can do it better than where I'm at. So we feel that we can do it better, right? We're the accountant, the dentist, the chiropractor, the psychiatrist, the financial advisor, whatever we are, wherever we are working, we say, you know what, I can do this better. And what happens is we move on to self-employment. We start our own thing, right? We start our own thing. In my case, it was Omar and Associates back in 1996. Got a small office in Cliffwood, New Jersey, 900 square foot office. And I said, you know what, this is going to be awesome. And I put my shingle outside my door, and I became self-employed. And now what happened is with self-employed is I found out that I didn't have a business. I owned a job because I was working long and hard. For me to make more money, I had to work more because I thought I was the best one. I was the best one there. Usually employees with that employee mindset, we believe that no one can do the job as good as we can. And so I became self-employed, from going from an employee to being self-employed. Then moving on, the jump is to becoming a business owner. And I think I see that lots of entrepreneurs are never make the jump because they don't put a system in place that can work the business with or without them, right? So the B type, the business owner that you see on the top right, is you own a system that works for you, right? That enables you to scale your practice. Because if you are the one doing the work as in self-employed, if the business is relying on you, you can never scale it. You're going to have this glass ceiling on top of you. And you're trying hard. You're like, man, I can't get over this mark, whatever that may be, 300K or 500K in revenues or $1 million. You're like, man, I just can't get above that. It's because you haven't created a system that enables you to get the work done through others, using other people's money, through other people's talents, and so forth. So then we go into business owner, putting a system in place. And I'll give you the tricks on how to put a system in place. And then going from a business owner, you become an investor where the money works for you passively. Whether you work or not, the business is generating money for yourself. So for me, I saw myself making the shift from being self-employed to a business owner when I put a system in place so that my accounting practice ran with or without me. And then once you've got a business, then you can invest that extra money, that extra cash, and becoming an investor, whether it's the stock market And we've got on this call two of the finest. If you're looking for help with investments along the lines of compounding and mutual funds and all kinds of different aspects that they can help you with, or real estate, like you can invest in whatever makes sense, whatever is right for you, and that's kind of where where the investor is. So different mindsets, folks. The reason I bring this is I want to share. It's important to understand that there's different mindsets that apply to each of these quadrants, and if you really want to do well in that quadrant of being a business owner, you've got to be very intentional of moving there. Right? If you're an employee, you haven't started a business, you're considering employment, then your first step is getting into self-employment, but then quickly understanding what it takes to get out of a job, right? The self-employed job, and becoming a business owner. And then if you're in business, then you want to be thinking about putting a system in place so that your time is used minimally in the business and you've got lots of excess time to build the business, grow the business, start a second business, and so forth. Making sense, guys? Awesome, cool. So, systems. Let's talk about the systems. How is a business without systems? Pretty chaotic. When you don't have systems in place, it's pretty chaotic. It's pretty inconsistent. It's unpredictable. It's not efficient. It's not working with it's not optimized. So that's what it is to have a business without systems. A business with systems is a joy to own. It's a well-oiled machine. It's a business that's cranking out a product or service with the least amount of energy and effort and with happy clients. Now, there are many kinds of systems in any business. So many different kinds of systems, right? You've got lead conversion systems, lead generation, staff management, staff recruiting, client management, like a whole list of systems that need to be working independently and codependently to make it all work. To make this machine work, there's so many different parts of it, right? So we need to get all these things working. And I want to give you 5 steps to creating your systems, towards systems success. All right, so step 1 is start small. Don't get overwhelmed with how many they are or how large the task is. Start small. Start with documenting one system a week. As small as that. One system a week, that's all. You're going to document something that is getting done, but you're going to put it on paper so that somebody else can follow it. It's easy to delegate. It's easy to be consistent with it, right? So start small. Have a small goal. One system, documenting one system a week. That's pretty okay. 20 minutes, 30 minutes to document how you do something. Step 2 is organize your work. Kind of create departments, organizational structure. Do it by function, finances, sales and marketing, operations. So kind of have some level of organizational structure on how you want to break the company into departments. Step 3 is identify events that call for a system. What are the areas that call for a system? For example, if you have customers calling you and you don't have a system in place for that, what the scripting is, what the next step is when somebody calls in to wanting to meet with you for your services or your products. If you don't have a system in place, all right, it's like, wow, something's lacking here. Let's get that documented, because there's going to be certain trigger words, certain things that need to be said, certain questions that need to be asked when a prospect is calling your company, right? Just giving you an example. So here's you've identified an event that calls for a system. And when you start going through that process, you'll say, wow, I need something here. Oh, I don't have something here. When checks from customers are coming in the mail, I really don't have anything documented. Yeah, and I usually have to tell my assistant what needs to get done. So you'll identify events that call for a system, And step 4 is you start with the most important ones first. And the most important ones are the ones that are stopping or slowing down the flow of money to your business. They're slowing down the cash coming in, or they're affecting your net profit, or they're causing frustration, aggravation, stress. And so identify that, without going too crazy, just kind of pick one and say, man, yeah, this would be good to have a system for this. Let's roll it out. Let's get moving on putting it down on paper. And step 5 is designate the task. If you've got team members, everyone in your organization should be writing systems. Yeah, so it brings about ownership. If you don't have team members, it's yourself, then you want to be the one. You want to be the one who's documenting it, so that 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year later, you can bring in someone to do that task. And so now it's something that you don't have to do, and it's going to get done well, because you've created the system, the procedure, the workflow for that. All right, questions. Did this make sense? I'd love to hear from you. So far, talk to me. What are you thinking? What's relevant? What's resonating with you? How can you put it into action for yourself? Or can't you? So I'd love to kind of hear any and all thoughts there. Take a few seconds, everyone.
Hi, Salim.
Yes, Tonya.
This is just fantastic. We're all busy taking notes. Just wanted to get back to Siobhan's question, which was basically, when we get that idea in the 72 hours, do we have to, is it okay to just write the idea down, or must we take action on the idea?
Write it down, capture the idea first, definitely capture the idea. And I do that using 2 things. One's my journal. It can be any journal, anything works. So it can be a physical journal. When I'm on the beach and I get ideas, I have my phone and I use Samsung Notes on my phone. This is what I was doing, Manolo, yesterday evening, 7 p.m. I told you I was going to be on the beach, and with my coconut juice or drink, Vita from Costco, I was there and I was making my notes here on my thing. So either one works, right?
Thank you.
Cool. Some comments, questions have come in. Let me quickly go through them, and then we'll move to item number 3. Hope you guys are kind of getting some good value from this today. Wow, so many. You guys are like awesome, Tanya. You've put together you've invited a great group of people here. Love people that are action takers, and they want to learn. They want to make today better than yesterday, and they want tomorrow to be better than today. All right, cool. Cassandra saying, don't be afraid to make big goals. Yes, big goals backed by strategy and execution, right? Big goals by themselves, no good. It's a start, but always get that into the strategy and the execution in that mix. Speed is what wealth is attracted to. Speed. Remember that, guys. Wealth is attracted to speed.
That's another good concept. Salim, D asks, she says, for success and longevity, would you say experience in all areas is needed as far as the ESBI?
I didn't get that question.
She was saying that for success and longevity, would you say experience in all areas is needed as far as, I guess, and she continued it by saying as far as the ESBI, the four, the employee to self-employed, to business to investor.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, Sean, this was a reminder for me some 8 or 10 years back. My neighbor, I was having a neighborhood party 8 years or so back. And one of my neighbors is a billionaire. And he owns a billion dollar company. And I was, I had time with him, during the party. And I said, man, what's the key to your success? Because he's created a billion-dollar company. He's an
That's a
immigrant like
good question.
myself. So what's the secret to your success?
Yeah.
He says, I've surrounded myself with successful people. I've got such talent. I'm
Mm.
not the smartest tool in the whatever. There's a thing, tool in the shed box or whatever. And he was being humble about it. But, I think as an entrepreneur, we have to select the right people to be around with. We don't have to know everything. We don't need to be the smartest, but we've got to be the smartest to find the right people, because that just changes the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it applies to all different fields. Like as a business owner, you need marketing, you need, financial help, you need all these different kinds of help. And there are sharp people in it, they're the best. And then there are the people that are mediocre. Find the best, because that'll just make a huge difference in your success, right? Huge difference in your success. So find the best in every field, and work with those. So you don't have to be the best, because you can't be the best. It's humanly impossible to be the best in all these areas.
Yeah.
It is. But we got to be humble enough to know that, man, I'm not good at everything, and I'm going to find the right people to get associated with, right? So.
Mhm.
And thank you, Salim, because you put us in touch with the best, Matthew and Manolo.
Yeah,
So
for
thank
sure.
you.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'll say this, Salim. Early on in my career, I focused on trying to improve everything I was not good at, and I, quickly learned that you're right. Let me just focus on what I do best and outsource everything else. And I've really built a team around me that, we get the right people on the bus, and then you get them in the right seats. And when you can focus on what you do best, it really enhances the end user experience.
Yeah. So true. So true. Good. A few more comments coming in from Lloyd. Says, yes, makes a lot of sense. I've always been stuck in the self-employed with fear or lack of confidence and or capital to become a business owner. So I want to kind of comment on that. Always been stuck in the self-employed with fear or lack of confidence and or capital to become a business owner. I think fear, Lloyd, this is just not something that you're faced with. Everyone faces it. Fear, we all have fear. It's part of the natural human reaction or tendency. And we've got to learn how to overcome it, how to overcome fear, and how to overcome lack of confidence. And the best way to overcome it is through self-care and through self-development. You'll be shocked at how much money I've invested in. Again, don't say this to impress anyone, because it does us no good for me to impress you guys, but just to impress upon you. I mean, you see a bookshelf here behind me. This is like 5% of my collection. I've got like books in the whole house here. Every room has got books or courses that I've invested in. And that's how I've overcome, fear or lack of confidence, is studying every day, studying every week, investing 8 to 10 hours a week in my own development. And there's nothing you watch the documentary. Bill Gates has an amazing documentary, Inside the Mind of Bill Gates. It's on Netflix. I watched it 6 months or so back when it came out, 3 parts. You'll see the guy, how many hours he studies. And he's like one of the brightest minds in the world. He's studying and preparing. And that's what it's about. If you want to be the best in our craft. And of course, this conversation is just not for Lloyd, it's for all of us, including me, right? We just have to kind of take the time out, and it's that commitment to become the best, because it's sharpening, it's mastery, right? It's not knowing something, it's mastery. And mastery takes from always sharpening our own saw. Tanya saying, this is a great example of how to go from concept to reality. Oh, that was Sean. This was so awesome, Salim. We're all busy taking notes. Love the step-by-step for creating systems. Awesome. Kathleen saying, many, including myself, fail to recognize the importance of systems. It's the important link to SMART goals. Well said there, Manol. I like the idea of starting small. Awesome. Alton saying, not having a system leaves you stationary. Cool. Yeah. D saying, for success and longevity, would you say experience? Oh, we covered that. All right, awesome, cool. Let's move on to the third area that I wanted to cover. You guys are awesome, good stuff here. learning from each other as well with your interaction. So number 3 is magnetic marketing, client attraction, which is important. If if a business is not growing, it's dying, and so we need to be growing. And many businesses struggle with marketing and client attraction, patient attraction, customer attraction. And the reason is because number 1, there's no differentiation. You can't tell one zebra from every other zebra. And a number of years back, Seth Godin, one of the brilliant minds in marketing, wrote the book Purple Cow. It was like 15, 18 years back. Purple Cow, I mean, I think just the name of you don't have to read the book, but the name of the book says a lot. Purple Cow, that's it. I mean, I don't need to say more. Purple cow, be the purple cow. And so, when it comes to marketing, you don't want to be a follower. You don't want to do what Joe Schmo down the road is doing. You want to do the exact opposite of what he's doing. And that's how you stand out, right? So the reason people struggle is no differentiation. Number 2, there's no strategy. And then number 3 is they don't know how. And the opportunity for us as business owners is if we approach marketing in a creative way and in a way that's different than others, it's an easy way for us to stand out because most of the people around us are not doing it. One of my mentors, Dan Kennedy, he said, "In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king." Yeah, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And that's true in terms of us and opportunities. If we do things different, if we do things uniquely and create an experience for our customers and talk their language from a marketing standpoint, and then when they become customers, clients, and give them an experience, we are going to stand out, right? So that's the opportunity that we have when it's done right. I want to quickly share with you 3 secrets to magnetic marketing. Number 1 is differentiate. Right, differentiate or die, and this is something that something that I wanted to share with you guys is that small businesses are in crisis, a messaging crisis. They all think they sound different, but in the eyes of potential customers, they all sound the same. And as entrepreneurs, as owners, we always want to be looking and seeing, all right, is this coming as everyone else, or is it coming differently, right? Number of years back, I came across Earl Nightingale, and he wrote this course. He was one of the first, people in the personal development space that I came across. Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. I don't know if any of you guys have heard him. I'm definitely showing you my age here when I bring up names like this from the 60s, things that were created in the 60s that I came across in the 80s and 90s. And so Earl Nightingale said something really powerful that influenced not only my business life, but my personal life. And here's what he said. I pulled that slide off. There were so many slides. I'm like, it's a 1 hour. I could spend the whole day. But he said something that was really powerful. And he said that whenever you're not sure of something, do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. When you're not sure of doing something, do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, right? And that's what his strangest secret was. And I kind of started doing that. I was commuting to New York City. I'm like, man, I'm like in a herd here, all going into this train station and waiting. And, this is not the lifestyle that I want. So I kind of challenged it, and I became an outcast there with the kinds of challenges that I, put myself on, that I wanted to start my own business when I was 31, and I did. Left this big career job, and my family members are like, what have you done? Why are you doing this? I'm like, it's the right thing to do. And so same for business, right? Same for marketing, is do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Joe Pulizzi says, today it's very hard to differentiate yourself according to products and services because most companies offer the same thing. With today's technologies, anyone can copy what you create. So the only way to differentiate yourself is how you communicate. And if we believe that's true, that means marketing must elevate itself in the organization, and it becomes part of the broader business model. So the way we communicate, marketing has to really is what really has to change. The messaging has to change, right? Part of marketing is the messaging, the words we use, who we attract, and so forth. So how to differentiate yourself? See what others are doing and saying, and do and say something else. That's like the fundamental marketing thing that a lot of people get it wrong. They want to be part of a crowd. And that's not marketing. Marketing is do the opposite. Do what everyone else is doing and become the purple cow, right? Do things in a very different way. Not everyone is going to be your customer, but the people that are going to get attracted to you are going to be the right ones. And they're going to be the ones that will make you a ton of money. Second thing when it comes to marketing, first one was differentiate or die, be the purple cow. Second thing is create content. Yeah, Dan Kennedy was one of my mentors, still is. You're paid for who you are than what you do, right? So you may be doing stuff like everyone else is doing, but you're paid for who you become. And the way you become, you change who you become is by the content you create. Your content gives you expertise. It differentiates you. It makes you the expert. Author, the word author comes from authority, right? The word author is coming from the word authority. You become a person of authority. And people want to work with a person of authority. They want to work with the best, right? So one of the ways that you differentiate yourself is through content. And content can be written content, it can be video content, it can be spoken content, all kinds of content that makes you an expert. Just a couple of examples when it comes to content. Breakfast meetings, networking meetings, coming in front, speaking. The book that I wrote a number of years back in the 2000s, and then the second edition was released a couple of years back. But these are like different examples of things that you can do to differentiate yourself in creating content. And it could be written, could be verbal, it could be video, and so forth. Video is now becoming so prevalent. And third thing, when it comes to marketing, is to showcase your expertise. And one of the ways to showcase your expertise is to use LinkedIn, using social media platforms like LinkedIn, where you can post articles, videos, make connections. Maybe it's Facebook for you as well. Maybe it's Instagram, whatever that. But these are like all the platforms, the technology that is now available to you to create that level of to get your content out, your own website with the blog section, putting blog posts in it, video logs in it, and so forth. And so folks, this was kind of the three things we talked about. I want to leave some time for Q&A. We talked about goals, long-term goals, mid-range goals, and then short-term goals. It's, aligning all those, making your goals smart. We talked about systems, Robert Kiyosaki, the different mindsets of the four quadrants, and the importance of having documented systems. And then we talked about magnetic marketing and becoming the purple cow in the room, in the community, so that you stand out. Good. Let's take some questions. I know, I'll do my best in the time we have. I want to be, we want to finish on the hour. So I'm going to take in as many questions, really have a dialogue, with us. If you've got a comment, love to hear that from you as well. If there's something that I didn't cover that, there's so much, right? Legal structure and, there's like a list of things that I didn't have time to talk about: forming legal structure, funding your business, setting up your financial system, QuickBooks, or how do you structure it so you pay the least amount in taxes? How do you build your team? How do you pay yourself? Financial reporting. So I invite you for a one-on-one strategy session. It's up to, it's just you and me. We talk about what your aspirations are, what your goals are, and kind of customize it for yourself. And if you would like to do that, there's a link here. You can go to my website and schedule a time, a session, and we'll jump on the call, and I'll hear your story. I'll hear what you're looking to do, and I'll point you in the direction, or you may say, Salim, can I have you help me do this? So open to either option there.
Yeah, Salim, actually, we did that, as you know, a couple months ago, and that was one of the triggers that got us started on this whole webinar journey as well. But I just wanted to add there's a few people here that have attended earlier sessions, and then we have a few new people as well that are, and I know a bunch of them personally, and I see them, I know how their mindset is, and they're pretty dedicated and they're taking notes. The way this presentation flows with the others, where this one is more philosophical and conceptual, is beautiful the way it balanced out the previous presentations where there were had a lot of detail and practical information and numbers. So in order to get the full gamut of what everyone is talking about, we kind of have to put them all together, right? And I just appreciate the way one has more philosophical connotation, the other one is a little more practical, and they're all great and applicable, but I just like the way they were balanced out with each other.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Cool. Yeah,
Salim, I would like to give a testimonial to you. I've known Salim for 7 years. We met at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast meeting. You know, we sat next to each other and started talking and commenting on the speakers, and it was clear that we had a meeting of the minds, shared values. So that was 7 years ago. And over time, we've developed a relationship, both a personal one and a professional one. And I like to think that I've helped Salim marginally, but he has helped me tremendously in coaching, giving me ideas on what I need to improve my business. Salim is very giving, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. So just wanted to make that shout out on a personal level. Also, Salim, I added the Bill Gates documentary to my Netflix list. It's called Inside Bill's Brain, Decoding Bill Gates. So maybe I'll get to it tonight.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, he's helped us refine our ideas as well. Dee had a question. She says, what's your advice on target marketing, and should it remain broad in the beginning?
Common thinking, D, is broad. Broad is the kiss of death when it comes to marketing. Targeted.
That's right. Be blunt.
Targeted requires effort. It requires strategy. It requires thinking, but it's an uphill battle initially. But once that's done, then it's going to be, it's just going to be long run. It's just going to be much easier. The more targeted you can make it, the better it is. There's such a big market in every target, any niche, any sub-niche, any sub-niche. There's usually plenty of people in that sub-niche. And that's one of the biggest fears people have is, man, what happens if I get business from elsewhere? No, you can accept it, but strategy-wise and marketing-wise, go for that niche. Continue getting business, right? Create a business that's 80% is going to be the niche, and don't say no to the 20% if that still fits your business model. Uh, 12407 from 12407. I didn't know there were names that were numbers these days. Just kidding. It says, I just invented something I believe is a great tool. I already had a patent, and I'm in the process of making a prototype. Wish to learn on the right steps to take. Don't have the answer, for that question. When it comes to patent, but I can put you in touch with someone. So kind of shoot me an email, and I'll be able to kind of point you in the right direction there. Was there another question on Lloyd saying marketing has always been a roadblock for me? This is probably one of the areas I will need to solicit the expertise elsewhere. Yeah, and when it comes to marketing, there's so many people that are out there that say they know marketing and they don't. So you just have to, it's one of the things you'll want to learn what's good marketing versus bad marketing. And I think in order for you to select the right person you'll want to you will want to get your your education or your knowledge of what marketing is and what's good marketing from what's not. And the best way to do that is to read a few books that are on the subject. Donald Miller recently wrote one of the best books on the subject called The Story Brand. Donald Miller, that's an awesome book. The Story Brand. I would say, I mean, that could be the I think that's the book. Get that, and that will tell you what marketing should look like. And he does this in a very interesting and easy way that will make sense to you. So let me type that in. The Story Brand. Name is Donald Miller. Asha saying, how do I determine my startup cost and expected expenses? Oh, great question. I think, I mean, putting a budget together on the onset would be helpful. Kind of a 12-month projection would be great. I would start with that, Asha's, is to do that. Put a 12-month forecast of what are the anticipated costs, investments that you'll need to make. And I mean, look, I was talking to a business owner the other day, and they're starting an accounting practice, and their aspiration is to grow it to $1 million. And that's my second business, is I help other accounting firms to grow their businesses to the multi-million-dollar level. So she wants to get to $1 million in 5 years, and she does not want to invest the money. It doesn't have the money to invest in her business. And it's like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, there's going to be marketing needed. There's going to be, things that are needed to start something from scratch. And I want everyone here, if you're in the startup mode, is to kind of be realistic with that. Find the money. There's resources. There's money available. You just have to be resourceful. Don't let that be the excuse of saying, you know what, I'm not going to start my business. And be realistic with what it's going to take to start a business. It's going to be working capital. So I don't want you to start a business with a very tight shoestring budget, and then after 3 months you're like, man, I ran out of money and now I've got to close the business, right? So be realistic from the get-go when it comes to what it's going to take financially, effort-wise, and so forth. I mean, entrepreneurialism, you've got to love it. It's not an easy road ahead. If I had known how difficult the journey was going to be, I may not have started my own journey. And I'm glad I didn't know how difficult it was going to be, but I happen to love it. It's Saturday morning. I'm sitting here. I'm talking to you guys. I could probably talk to you guys for the whole day. My wife is going to probably hate me for that, and my kids. But, it's like you got to be passionate about it, right? So if you're going into business, you got to love it. And then it's going to be fun. All right. I know we have got like a minute or so left. Yeah, Dee, totally. Passion has to be there. And Tanya, Sean saying, I love the realism. Yep. Awesome. Hey guys, I want to make sure time-wise, are we okay? And if you want to do any wrap-up, Tanya, Sean.
Yes, Salim, we like to give a vote of thanks, and we want to give anyone who wants to share what they're, grateful for. Please put it in the chat. We just got so much. My sister-in-law is on, and she said, share my notes. I've been taking tons and tons and tons of notes, Salim. We want to thank you for taking the opportunity to share with us. You are passionate about what you do, and it's delivered in a very authentic way, and we appreciate it. We appreciate you connecting us to Matthew, Manolo, who are on the call as well, and just developing our minds. It is said that iron sharpens iron, and you provide us with so much wealth, books to follow up on, and definitely we always share our mailing list so that people can get in direct contact with you. and reach out and sort of see where else they might need specific help. So I want to also recognize Sean's hard work in pulling this together. We really appreciate his efforts. So thank you, Sean, and thank you everyone for joining us. We see. I think Matt, you wanted to say something on this.
I was just piggybacking on what Salim said. When you're starting a business, you really do have to be passionate. And to me, you have to find your unique ability, right? And to me, unique ability is something you really love doing and something that you're really good at, right? If you could find those two things, that's something you should really just spend time doing.
True. Yes, and so that is very, very good. Love what we do, passionate about it, and we're really good at it. Thanks, Matt. So I don't know if anyone else said anything. We also would be providing the video like we usually do. By the end of today, you should have the video of the entire presentation. Salim, any closing remarks from you? What, as Matthew likes to say, what's our next step? What are we going to do next? Our takeaway. Any last words from yourself?
Hey, yeah, absolutely. The rule of 72 hours, right? What are you going to do with the information you have? Start taking those first 1 or 2 easy small steps towards execution. This weekend, within 72 hours, right? I wrote 4 books, running 2 businesses and written 4 books, and that didn't happen because it was all ideas. I mean, it starts with the table of contents. So it's that first small step that you move towards,
Wow.
that you do. And that's kind of that's the opportunity for all of us. We've got the whole day today, we've got tomorrow, and recreation is great, sleep is great, good food is great, entertainment is great, but take an hour. All I ask is the next 36 hours, take 1 hour, reflect on what you have and take one small step towards execution.
Yeah, Matthew yes, Salim, I agree. Matthew just said something great. He said have an accountability partner. I'm gonna tell you right now, Tonya is definitely
the best accountability partner. I want Tanya on my team here.
Oh my goodness! But it's okay. So you need that person that you can trust that says, "Hey, it's time to so and so." But what did you do this yesterday? Or because sometimes even when we want to just eat good food or watch something, we have to get that jog, and that goes right back to what you were saying about building a team around you of quality people. And I love this series that we're doing, and again, I can't wait for the next one.
Yes, can't wait.
Awesome,
right.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone.
You too. Thank you so much. Oh, someone says I may not be ready to leave my job anytime soon, but I'm getting started on registering my business. Way to go, Katie. So Heather saying thank you, Salim.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Great weekend.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks, Salim.